you've seen the Avatar fish tank. It's next for the snake upgrades. Well, this isn't a snake, but it's next for the cage upgrades. We're going on to Ida's cage, which I have decided will be themed after a book. Now, who would have guessed that a nerd themes a snake cage after a book? But this was one of my favorite books that I read growing up as a kid, called Fabelhaven. Now, if you haven't read Fabelhaven, the gist of the book is that there are two kids that go to stay with their grandparents for a while, and then they learn that their grandparents take care of a preserve full of magical creatures, and everything just spirals out of control from there. It was one of my favorites. It is meant for a younger audience, but it's still a fun read even as an adult. Now, to theme the cage after the book, we've come up with a few of the things that were prominent in the book, and big features or fun features. Like, one of my favorites was Hugo the Golem, a giant stone man that helped around on the preserve. There's also similarly a giant wooden puppet called Mendigo that was evil. Then, in order to see all these magical creatures, and the way it stayed hidden, is you have to drink milk from a gigantic cow. And this milk was served up to a lot of the magical creatures in pie tins, so it would be really fun to make the pie tin her water bowl or her hide, and have the milk involved somehow, because that was a very prominent feature to the book. There was also a giant hill with a well on top, and the well was filled with stew. That could be really fun to turn into a hide. That's why I've included this dark patch. At the very end of the book, there's a hill full of flowers that would be nice to include. There were fairies everywhere. Some of the evil creatures were tied up with ropes, which were pretty much invincible, which is lovely, because magic. There's a large pond for the fairy queen, and that could be a really good idea for the water pole. And there is also a shack where an evil witch is trapped. We need 2 hides, we need a water bowl, we need something for her to climb on, and we need some light. So this is the basic gist of what we've come up with. I want to make 2 main foam backs. This will be one main foam background with some wood and some rocks and the golem's face in it. A tin or a milk bucket, whatever I can find. And we're gonna make that one of her hides. Then she's got a really large water dish that hopefully we can paint the fairy shrine back behind, so then it's similar to the fairy shrine in the book. On this other side here, we'll put Mendigo dead down in the dirt, and we will also put a giant hill full of flowers. For the climbing, we're going to have a big stick because it takes place in a forest. The magical preserve is a forest. And we're also going to have these knotted ropes, and we're going to find a way to hang those and involve those in the cage, because I think that's awesome. Because every time you blow on a knot in the rope, magic. The first thing we need to do is to take out the snake. Ida will be finding her box for a bit while we use the foam and cut that to the size we want. We're going to be putting it in the cage to make sure it's cut to the correct size. And then we're going to stack the different foam pieces on top of each other so that we have a rough shape of what we want, and we'll use a hot knife to cut those down to where we like. Now that we've got really rough layers, we're going to taper them off a little bit with a hot knife, get them the right shape we want, and then cut out the big hole in the middle to be her hide. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to use a knife to get a rough shape of the Hugo's face as we cut out our rock wall that'll sit behind. Once we have that rough shape cut out, then we'll use our hot knife and get a little bit of a better shape, and then we'll take them out for foam. There we go. There's the second piece done. There's the first piece done. Now we just have to get them in the cage after the cage is clean and cover them with dirt. First things first, we're going to mix up our dirt. We start with an organic topsoil. Make sure it's organic so you don't have to worry about pesticides. Then we want peat moss and play sand, and that should be perfect for a semi-bioactive enclosure. Once we get that mixed up, and you want to mix it up nice and good because this is going to be everywhere in the cage. Look at that dirt. It's perfect. As soon as it's mixed up, we're going to cover our boards with expanding foam, and we'll spray that all over our boards, rub it in a little bit. Most people don't rub it in, but we're going to do so to help make sure it maintains the shape we want a little bit better. After that's rubbed in, we're going to cover it in dirt, get all the dirt everywhere, and eventually we'll have a pretty good looking background. And it's finally done. Look at this. It turned out splendidly. There's definitely some things that I would change because I've learned from better. Like, Gorilla Glue works a lot better than expanding foam. I like it way better, especially to hold shape. It would have made Hugo's face look a little less terrifying. I love our stick wrapped in the rope. It looks perfect, and it'll be a great thing for her to climb on. This is gonna be perfect. Now, we don't have the water bucket filled up yet because she has a tendency to belly flop. So she has a smaller water dish down inside the top there. And if she's good and doesn't dump it, we'll give her the full water dish because she loves to soak. We also still have a milk bucket coming for this corner. However, it's not here yet. So we will add that once it comes. But look at how well this turned out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what you guys think the next 2 enclosures should be themed after because they need it. I want them to look even better than this one, so give me some wild themes that we can really play with.